Dillion Danis praised KSI for agreeing to fight him, although Logan and Jake Paul ducked a potential confrontation. What sort of opinions does Danis have regarding his opponent? What about Logan and Paul? Did they, as he claims, try to stay away from Danis? Let's find out, shall we? Keep an eye out for further information that will be coming your way regarding this topic. Starting us off, Dillion Danis praises rival KSI while taking swipes at Logan and Jake Paul. Danis will make his boxing debut on January 14th when he takes on YouTube personality KSI, actual name JJ Olatunji, at the OVO Wembley Arena. The MMA fighter is known for his abrasive demeanor and frequent references to social media icons, particularly high-profile siblings Jake and Logan Paul. Conor McGregor's teammate had a long-standing feud with the unbeaten Paul brothers, Jake, but a fight never happened, with both sides blaming one another. Danis, on the other hand, believes that the YouTube boxers who have emerged are essentially actors posing as fighters. "I think he's an actor," Danis stated of his prospective opponent KSI during a face-off on Zoom before their match. "He's not a real boxer. He's an actor who pretends to be one. He has a terrific personality, I'll give him that. But I'll give KSI credit since Logan Paul backed out of this fight. Jake Paul avoided me. They all avoided me, but KSI signed the deal. Jake Paul did, without a doubt, completely avoid me. Behind the scenes, KSI is aware of this as well. Logan, we had everything signed, but he pulled out with a bogus injury, and KSI came around. Jake Paul wanted the fight, but he ducked me." Moving on, more specifics on the subject. Danis had been injured for several months, delaying his prospective ring debut. However, negotiations later hinted that he might face Paul's brother, Logan, in the build-up to the next Misfits boxing night. His opponent sustained a damaged knee ligament during a WWE match against Roman Reigns, delaying his plans to return to the boxing ring next year. Paul has always blamed the fight's demise on Danis, and he has since defeated many other opponents, including UFC star Anderson Silva. And KSI's next opponent even stated that he was forced to decline the fight due to a recurrent knee problem last year. "So I'm allowed to do boxing. I'm saying in a month and a half, 2 months," Danis stated on the MMA Hour. "I can't just now. I can't even do boxing because I can't turn my leg. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even permitted to pivot. I don't think it's because I can't fight him. The fight will take place. He's still yelling at me. These battles should happen, you know? It reminds me of Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov. These fights must take place. And we have a lot of disputes. He hasn't lost anything, therefore it's not like anything happened. I have not failed. I believe we should go forward with it." Following that, KSI snubs Jake Paul, as YouTuber discloses 3 next fight options after Dillion Danis' bout. Following his battle against Dillion Danis next month, KSI has stated that he might face Tyron Woodley, Joe Fournier, or Tommy Fury. The British YouTube sensation believes that a Jake Paul fight will be made at the end of next year due to a stalemate in discussions over certain demands. KSI, real name JJ Olatunji, told Twitch broadcaster Kai Cenat about his plans. "Who's next? It might be Tyron Woodley or Joe Fournier," before Cenat interjected and quizzed him on the Paul fight. "Jake Paul's near the end of the year. We're working on that," KSI replied. "We're already back and forth on the deal. He's already making ridiculous demands, and I'm like, nah, who do you think you are? Since we have to go back and forth, it will take some time. Meanwhile, I'd like to fight some folks. It could be Tommy Fury. Bro, I've got to show everyone why I'm the GOAT. Bro, I need to show everyone why I returned to the YouTube boxing scene. It's as simple as to show everyone why I am the ultimate man in this scene. Why would you have my name in your head for 2 years and not take action? Why conduct a poll of 1 million people who all said fight me and you run? Hashtag KSI, we require responses. Now go troll the troll. He'll announce his candidacy on Saturday. Olatunji was scheduled to face Woodley on January 14th, but the former UFC welterweight champion claims KSI to fight Danis instead. Next up, Dana White crowns Yuri Prochazka as as real 205-pound champion. White discussed Prochazka and the light heavyweight title picture during a recent visit on Paddy Pimblett's Chattin' Pony podcast. "I have to say something about Yi. He'll be remembered as the champion because he never lost the belt. He vacated it," White remarked of Prochazka. "These individuals are going to fight for the title. There could be 2 title battles before he returns from shoulder surgery, but this one should be entertaining, and this card is jam-packed with exciting battles." Prochazka won the belt after defeating Glover Teixeira earlier this year at UFC 275. Before his injury, he was scheduled to face Teixeira in an immediate rematch at UFC 282. Teixeira will likely face the Blachowicz/Ankalaev match winner for the next title shot. Meanwhile, as Prochazka begins his rehabilitation, another opportunity at the belt looms for his future comeback. Moving on, we just kept pushing. Robichaux put together a team of retired U.S. Special Forces operators to help carry out the mission after he could not solicit the assistance of active duty military members. After receiving permission from the United States government to fly to Afghanistan, the former MMA fighter and his crew landed in Kabul and successfully extracted Aziz and his family on the first day of the operation. Robichaux and the rest of the soldiers were under continual threat from Taliban forces, but their efforts resulted in an estimated 17,000 civilians fleeing the country. You couldn't even take a breather. You traded 5 minutes of sleep for someone's life if you stopped and slept for 5 minutes. As a result, we just kept pushing. Robichaux was honored for his bravery and heroism during a meeting of Congress in September, and the 47-year-old is also working on a book about the rescue effort that will be released next year. Robo began his pro MMA career in 2000 and went 12-0 until losing his first career fight to future UFC veteran Zach Makovsky. After that bout, Robichaux went 1-1 in Legacy FC before finishing his career with a submission win at World Series of Fighting 6 in 2013. Following that, White applauds Pimblett's rant on Helwani. While some have criticized Pimblett's statements, one man who was certain that he was correct in his evaluation of Helwani was the UFC president, who consistently agreed with his fighter's opinion during the podcast. White also made a point of taking shots at the Canadian reporter. Along with a few obscenities, the 53-year-old claimed that Helwani had disappeared after his contract with the UFC's broadcaster ESPN expired. "I simply sat back and let that go because I didn't want to interrupt," White clapped. "He is a gigantic sack of... He's the greatest piece of ever. I couldn't have put it better myself. Do you know what's terrific about him? He's entirely vanished. Nothing has come up since ESPN let him go. I don't hear or see anything about him," White continued. "I honestly have no idea that guy exists unless someone brings him up to me." You are completely correct. He is a piece of... While Helwani and White have a long history of feuding, dating back to when the MMA journalist broke the news of Brock Lesnar's comeback to the UFC, the inclusion of Pimblett in the club of Helwani detractors appears to be new. Next up, Stephen Thompson reveals his post-fight injuries. Both men had an unspoken or perhaps spoken agreement that this would be a stand-up battle leading up to this fight. Thompson had previously stated that he wanted to face a striker in his next fight after struggling with 2 grappling heavyweight opponents. Holland was willing to play, and both athletes stayed true to their strike-based agreement. Thompson and Holland have both broken their hands due to the brutal fight. "It's broken," Thompson said of his hand during an appearance on the MMA Hour via Bloody Elbow. "I'm having an MRI tomorrow. Kevin broke his right hand in the fight, and I broke my left. I didn't notice it until I removed the gloves. I knew something wasn't right as soon as I took the gloves off. I've felt this kind of agony before. When I looked down at my hand, it immediately began to swell, and I thought, it's got to be broken." Thompson now ranks 6th in the UFC welterweight rankings after his victory. He'll need some time to recover, but he could face a top 5 opponent once fully recovered. Finally, Jan Blachowicz explains what the UFC has to do to get Joanna Jędrzejczyk back. Although Jędrzejczyk no longer competes in the UFC, UFC, she remains affiliated with the organization. She appeared as a guest fighter at the UFC 282 Media Day and discussed the potential of a return. She stated that she is still considering fighting, but is concerned about her health if she does. Blachowicz spoke with Shaq MMA on Jędrzejczyk and other topics. If the UFC comes to Poland and makes this fight with Yuri and me, I'll talk to Joanna, and she'll be back, Blachowicz said. Blachowicz will compete for the UFC light heavyweight title at UFC 282 this weekend. If he wins, he hopes to defend his championship against former champion Prochazka in Poland. If that scenario plays out, he believes he can persuade his friend Jędrzejczyk to accompany him back home. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching.